You know, the thing with crypto is that you've got to be able to identify shifts in trend. And the problem is that most investors aren't quick enough to identify those shifts in trend. Today, we're going to talk about a massive shift that may be happening, maybe not. If you look at the Bitcoin chart, it says to you that maybe the shift is happening because Bitcoin is holding up above 41,000. That is after we got the first interest rate hike in 3 years. What does this interest rate hike mean? Is it going to affect your crypto portfolio? Is it safe to be buying altcoins? Because it does feel like we're super in this risk-on mentality. So all of a sudden, you've got this interest in altcoins. You've even got people talking about, I'm not going to say the word because I'm not allowed to say the word, but if you read the screen, nobody say this until this chart breaks out. Now, what TED Talks Macro is talking about. He's talking about the ETH BTC chart, and he's talking about that little imminent breakout over there and what it could mean. Now, I'm not going to say the word, and I said to him, I said, I'm not going to say the word because I said, wait for my thumbnail later. And even on my thumbnail, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it because we don't do that. But Burb is talking about it as well. He says, I miss the real times when everyone was happy. So we're going to talk about whether we're allowed to talk about that word, and I don't think we are allowed to talk about that word. And then, of course, we have to talk about Apecoin. We have to talk about Apecoin. Hassel, are you ready to talk to me about Apecoin?
Yeah, I mean, there's a plethora of things to go along with the coin utility and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about it with you.
Wow, today is going to be huge. We also have giveaways today. Remember, we're going to give away those Phantom Starter NFTs. We've got some Bybit giveaways. It basically, this is like a party. It's a giveaways. It's free alpha. It's everything in one place. Let's get the show.
What's up, guys? This time I wasn't caught off guard. I did see that, Rand.
We're trying to catch you off guard. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back, degens. Feel the energy is back. The energy is back. We're playing the get the fuck out of bed, bitch, go song. You guys are loving it. And that is because it feels like it's risk on again. And you know, when risk's on again, degens feel revitalized. They get there. It's the changing of the season. It's the changing of the season. You know, the problem is that most people can't sniff the changing of the season. Now, we did tell you that we thought that the season changed when we broke this trend line over here. We said that. And then we said that this is a perfect retest, and it was a perfect retest. And it looks like this little trend has also been broken. We've closed above this trend. And the idea is probably to get a little spike and maybe a little retest of that little trend. And then we're going to go up. And I know you're asking why I am doing the charts, and I'll tell you why I'm doing the charts. I'm doing the charts because Sheldon is having a baby. He's gone. I think he's gone to the hospital. Sheldon's having a baby. So probably there's going to be no Sheldon show tomorrow. So I don't know who wants. It's happening today. It's happening now in the next 24 hours. Sheldon's having a baby. Yeah, Sheldon's having a baby. Alrighty, so welcome, guys. I'm Crypto Man Run. If you're new to our channel, subscribe to the channel, like our content, especially if you're a degen, because this is a place where degens hang out. And it's been a little bit miserable of late, but it does feel like the tide is turning and we are going risk on again. It does feel like we're going risk on again. And it's not only when you look at the Bitcoin markets that we're going risk on. It feels like there's a lot of markets that are going risk on. If you look at the ETH BTC chart, that one is also telling us that we're going a little bit more risk on, because when we get that ETH BTC breakout, that could signal, I'm not allowed to say what it signals, but it does signal that altcoins will probably perform a little bit better. And that's kind of being reaffirmed by the Bitcoin dominance chart. So if you look at the Bitcoin dominance chart starting to come down. And this is all after yesterday, the market finally got what we've been waiting for and what we've been talking about for a long time. And that is Powell finally came out and spoke about the interest rate hikes. And he gave the market full clarity. So this whole time, we've been talking about inflation. We've been talking about inflation. Will Powell increase interest rates? How much will Powell increase interest rates by? Well, he finally came out and he increased interest rates. And it seems that with that increase in interest rate, the market got the stability, or the market got the clarity that it wanted. And the market is kind of back at risk on. So let's look at the US market now. The US 500, which is the S&P, flat, 0%. The Dow Jones, flat. The NASDAQ, flat. So yesterday they had a big party, everybody celebrated. And today, well, everyone's kind of looking for direction again. I'll tell you who's not looking for direction is the people in Hong Kong. They're not looking for direction. They've got their direction. So if you look at the Hang Seng, and for me, the Hang Seng is a good reflection of what's happening in Hong Kong and China and the tech stocks. The Hong Kong Hang Seng has had 2 incredible days in a row. It had a 9% up yesterday, had a 7% up today. Now, watch this. Look at the stocks in the Hang Seng. So look at this, or in China. So you've got Didi, which is the Uber. You've got that up 45% yesterday, and then it went up again today. You had Alibaba up 20% yesterday, and again, I think 20% today. You had Baidu up 25% yesterday, and then again up today. So it looks like it's risk on, and it's not only risk on in crypto and in altcoins and in the West, but it looks like it's risk on in the entire world. And that is spurred, of course, a little bit by what's happening in Russia and Ukraine, and the fact that maybe there's some hope of peace talks happening there, but also because Powell came out into the market yesterday, and I think he gave the market the clarity that the market wanted. So he came on yesterday, and he started off with the most obvious statement, the one that we've all pretty much been waiting for.
We are strongly committed to achieving the monetary policy goals that Congress has given us. In support of these goals, the FOMC raised its policy interest rate by 1/4 percentage point. The economy is very strong, and against the backdrop of an extremely tight labor market and high inflation, the committee anticipates that ongoing increases in the target range for the federal funds rate will be appropriate.
Okay, so that's what he came out. And remember, this is not about the Fed statement, and this is not about the increasing of the interest rates, because that was, I would say, pretty much a sure thing. We all forecast that there was a 98.5% chance that the Fed was going to increase interest rates by 25 basis points. That's exactly what it did. The real juice always comes out in the guidance that they give afterwards. And this is when last time everything fell apart, and this time it seemed to get a little bit more positive. So if you look at the intraday chart, so this is the intraday chart here, and you look at the period just before Powell started speaking, we had a little bit of a dip, and that was the people that had made quite a bit of profits during the day selling out. And then as Powell started speaking, the charts started to move again. So the important part was in the guidance that Powell started to provide, and not actually in the 25 basis point rate hike. And it's not only the S&P chart that started moving. So they were actually, if you're watching it, you could have watched it only on the chart. So you could have watched the S&P chart. You could have watched the yields on bonds. You could have watched the crude oil price. You could have watched the gold price. And literally, as Powell was speaking, the charts were moving. So what is it that Powell said? What is it that the market felt so comforted by? Well, the first thing is he said that the economy is in a very, very, very strong position, and that the economy can pretty much handle anything that we're going to be going to throw at it. That's the first thing that he said. Then we went on to the reporters, and the reporters were going to or were allowed to ask questions. Now, you'll remember this is where it all fell apart last time when Jeanna, remember Jeanna, when we all got Jeanna'd, when Jeanna asked Powell a question, and then everything fell apart. That was what happened last time. This time, Powell spoke, and then guess who? The first question was Jeanna.
Thank you. I look forward to your questions.
I thought we were dead at this point.
Thank you. Let's go to Jeanna at the New York Times.
Hi, Chair Powell. Thank you so much for taking our questions. I wonder if you could detail your thinking a little bit about how you're considering the risks of going too fast and potentially tipping the economy into recession, and how you're weighing those risks against the possibility of going too slowly allowing inflation to become embedded and kind of getting behind the curve?
So that was a question. Now, the answer here is, I think where a little bit of the clues lie. Powell is still in denial about the fact that we're going to go into a recession. So despite the fact that I showed you the article yesterday from Larry Summers, Powell is in denial about the fact that we may be going into a recession.
So I guess I would start by saying that in my view, the probability of a recession within the next year is not particularly elevated. And why do I say that? Aggregate demand is currently strong, and most forecasters expect it to remain so. If you look at the labor market, also very strong, conditions are tight, and payroll job growth is continuing at very high levels. Household and business balance sheets are strong. And so all signs are that this is a strong economy, indeed one that will be able to flourish.
So you see, so on the one hand, he's saying, listen, the economy is so strong that there's no way that we're going into a recession. He does expect inflation to continue to run, and it's going to run into the second half of the year. Listen to this.
So I guess I would say that the expectation is still that inflation will begin to come down in the second half of the year. But if you look at where I read the SEP headline median, we still expect inflation to be high this year, lower than last year. And then we expect, though, particularly with the effects of the war, but also the data we've seen so far this year, we expect inflation to remain high through the middle of the year.
Okay, so he expects inflation to remain high through the middle of the year and into the next part of the year. Then they also gave us their thoughts on the path that interest rates may take for the next year. And they're talking about 7 meetings and 7 interest rate hikes. But he also said that those were probably already all priced into the market, which is exactly what we think.
So remember, we started talking about rate increases last year. For some months now, financial conditions have already incorporated a significant number of rate increases. So it doesn't start today. In effect, the moves are already priced into the market for a few months now. So so the clock is running on that. And I think some of that will be seen in the second half of the year as well.
All right, so talking about the fact that all these interest rate hikes are priced in, what is actually priced in? So let's take a look at what is actually priced in. This is what the curve looks like. So 7 different Fed rate traders are now pricing in 7 interest rate hikes by the end of the year. And if we look at the probabilities for the next Fed meeting, which is about 40 days away or 45 days away, you've got a 62.7% chance of a 50 basis point rate hike, and you've got a 37.3% hike chance of a 50 basis point rate hike. So that's pretty much what the market is pricing in. So if I were to summarize this whole thing, the Fed meeting was pretty much exactly what we expected. They likely, FOMC wants more hikes, likely 25 basis points per clip, 7 rate hikes by the end of the year. They were quite vague on when they were going to start buying back or start balance sheet tapering. So in other words, putting money back into the economy as opposed to, taking money out of the economy as opposed to putting money back into the economy. He was a bit vague. He kept saying we'd address that in future meetings. And he also played the safe card. So the safe card for him was that he said, look, we'll see how things go. We're not steadfast on anything. We're kind of going to play it by ear and we're going to see how things go, which is exactly what I said to you. Now that we've got this, the big question is, can the economy continue to grow, or are we going into a recession? Will these rate hikes that are planned actually halt the economy and take us into recession, or can economies continue to grow? CNBC did a little study, and they looked at the S&P 500's performance after Fed cycles since 1946. And what you can see is the dark blue is after rate hikes. So after rate hikes, you still get growth, but you get much slower growth than if you compare it to all rate periods, which is the middle one. And if you compare it to after rate cuts, obviously rate cuts have got the most aggressive growth. And that's a sample size since 1946. So the economy will continue to grow, but it will probably continue to grow at a slightly slower rate. All right, so that's the data. But you guys loved Jordi Alexander after we had him on Banter. He was the macroeconomist. And I thought what we'd do is, once we've got all this data, let's get him back onto Banter. And let's ask him what he thinks of what happened yesterday with Powell. Jordi, welcome back, man.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you okay. We can hear you much better than last time, which is amazing.
Nice. Yeah, it was super interesting yesterday. I agree with a lot of what you said. I disagree with a little bit of it. I don't think it was exactly as expected yesterday. It was a hawkish tone. Definitely, like Powell surprised us a little bit, and I think the Fed, the really scary part is the dot plot. They show you like their predictions for the end of each year, and they thought 2.8 for 2023, which is very far from where we are now. I mean, that's a lot of rate rises, and 2.8 initially scared the market a lot.
But the 2.8 was initial, and didn't he say it was probably a bit less than that because of the inflation expectations, because of the effects of the war?
So, they have their long run, the magic number is like the R star. That's always kind of what they consider to be the neutral rate, where they're not tightening and they're not loosening. It's just kind of like this balance place. And that kind of stayed around 2.4. So what they were telling us yesterday is that they're going to go above neutral to kind of squeeze inflation down. That initially had bonds completely crashing. I don't know if you were looking at like the initial bond reaction. It was super scary. And it started to climb back after he started talking. I think the market called his bluff. Like the market doesn't think that we can go to 2.8. That's my own understanding of this, is that the market thinks that they will have to pivot before they actually get to 2.8. And I think we're already seeing that in the UK today. I don't know if you follow UK at all, but UK today they've been in the raising cycle. They did another 0.25 bips, but now they're saying we're at 0.75. We need to slow down. We may not keep going, and that's only 0.75. That's so far away from 2.8.
Well, exactly. I think the Fed had to act, and I think, to be honest, they planned this move kind of thing before this war in Ukraine broke out. And I think it would have been, I don't think they could have come onto the market now and said, look, we're not increasing interest rates because we're waiting to see what's going to happen in Ukraine. I think that would have been a bit too dovish, so to speak. So I think we kind of got what we expected. But I think the big question is, when you came onto Banter on Friday, you said that you're almost convinced that we're going into a recession. Powell says that he doesn't see a recession. He says, this economy can withstand anything, and he doesn't see a recession. I think I played that clip. What do you think? Are you still convinced that we're going into a recession?
I don't think I said recession. I don't think we're going into recession. I think we're going into like a little bit of like a zombie market where we're kind of stuck between like low growth and kind of juicing. I think it's not a full recession. It's not going to be like, everybody gets laid off 2008 style. I think it's going to be as soon as things start to go well, they'll have to like bring them back. So it'll be like this kind of like dance where as soon as they tighten too much, they'll back off, and then it'll be like a car. They'll press the brakes, they'll kind of accelerate. They will try to toe this line to keep the economy from going into recession. It might still go into recession. Larry Summers knows his stuff as well.
Yeah, so I showed the article from Larry Summers and one of the other Harvard professors yesterday, where they spoke about the fact that they think that a recession is pretty much inevitable. And they said it's pretty much inevitable because the Fed took too long to react. So instead of taking the punch away before the people got drunk, they kind of said, look, let the people get drunk and we'll take the punch away afterwards, which is not really a traditional approach from the Fed.
Yeah, I think, they're behind the curve. What we saw yesterday was a little bit of panic. They kind of panicked and they said, we're going to tighten really hard. We're going to go at this. And like I said, initially the market bought it, and then bonds the rates have gone lower than they were pre-FOMC. So that goes to show you that sometimes like the fear, I think the thing I really like what you said is there was some clarity. They showed us, they're going to be hawkish. They were clear about it. And it's kind of up to the market to shrug it off or not. I think I wouldn't get too bullish here. I would say if we get too bullish, they will start doing 50 bips. I don't think they're going to stop at 25. If they think they can do a 50, we might see a 50 next time.
Okay, so after yesterday's meeting, has anything changed in your investment thesis? Or are you still range trading this?
Still relatively range trading it. I think, crypto has some narratives coming up. We have ETH 2.0, we have Avalanche subnets, Bitcoin as hard money is, ever showing how much we need, that kind of thing. Luna is obviously just, they had this like huge bet the other day, but, some people are super bullish. We'll see. There's a lot of mixed kind of opinions on it. But there's enough narrative in the crypto market that I think, like you said, ETH BTC is going up. That's usually it means people are bullish, but it doesn't mean they'll be right. But some people are clearly kind of betting on like a bit of a rotation.
Okay, so would you be deploying money into crypto now? And if you were deploying money into crypto now, where would you be deploying it?
I think you can deploy a little bit, but I wouldn't let it run. I wouldn't get too greedy. I'll just say that. I don't think it's time to get super greedy. I do think like NASDAQ has, what scares me about crypto is NASDAQ. I think like NASDAQ is still way too high. It's back at 14,000. It's too high.
You think NASDAQ, even after a 20% correction, you think that NASDAQ is too high?
Yeah. It was way in bubble territory. It's still too high. I'll feel a lot more comfortable deploying when NASDAQ is more, around like the 12.5K kind of area. So I want to see another 10% to really feel like, okay, this is a good risk reward.
All right, got it, man. So we're waiting for NASDAQ. That's pretty much what we're doing. Jordi, thank you, my friend. Thank you for giving us clarity. Good to have you back.
Thank you.
Cool, buddy. Thank you. All righty. So Jordi says we can deploy, but we should probably wait for the NASDAQ to go back to 12,500. I remember Bitcoin has been tracking that NASDAQ. Right now, Bitcoin is still above, just under 41,000, 40,986. I don't know. To me, it does feel a little bit more bullish, but we can't get caught out by sentiment. I guess the big question is, if you are going to be deploying, then where should you be deploying? That's the big question, because you can't just be deploying on anything. You got to be catching narratives, and that's the problem in the crypto market. The problem with the crypto market is that most people don't catch narratives, and by the time they do catch the narratives, it's too late. So most people, what they do is they trade the narrative. They trade what's happening right now, as opposed to trading what is about to happen. And that's the skill that most people can't adopt. Remember, we spoke about this a lot. We used to call this the bees, and we used to call the bees flying from narrative to narrative and then sucking all the pollen out of, or all the honey out of the narratives, and then moving on to the next narrative. Now, the bees that get the narratives first, those are the bees that actually land up making money. So the skill that you've got to master here in crypto is to be able to identify narratives. And the market is giving us clear signals to help us identify those narratives. It's just you've got to read the signal. You've got to be able to identify the signal. Now, earlier on this year, I said to you, look, if you're going to be deploying into altcoins, I said, I can't tell you when I think the market is going to turn, because, we said if you try to pick a bottom, you're going to get shit on your fingers. But if you do, Carl, why are you laughing? So,
because you've got that a few times. You've got shit on your fingers.
The idea is not to try to call the bottom, but the idea is to say, look, where are we? Are we closer to a bottom or closer to a top? And if you do feel that you're closer to the bottom than you are closer to the top, then you might feel more comfortable deploying capital, because the risk reward is much better. The risk return, when we're nearer to a bottom, when we're over here, when we're somewhere over here, which you can kind of see as a bottom, that could carry on going further down, of course. But the risk return for me, after we've had a correction this big, is much better in actually deploying capital than actually keeping capital on the sidelines. Maybe we'll continue to go down, but maybe we will, or more probabilistically, we'll start actually going up at some point. And then the question is, if we are going to go up, well, what are the narratives that are going to be going up? Because if you can identify those narratives, then those are the ones that you should be investing in. And you should be investing in those narratives before the curve. And that's exactly what I showed you guys a while back. I said to you guys, if you are going to be investing in altcoins, then there are a few things that you should be investing in. And they all have one theme in common. And the theme that they all have in common is that now we have moved away from a promises market, from a illusion market, from a how much difference can blockchain make to the world, to how much or what part of this technology is actually going to be adopted for real world use cases. So the market's saying, look, take away the noise. We don't want the noise anymore. We want to know, what can we be buying for real world use cases? And if you play that narrative, if you start listening to what the market is saying to you, then you probably have made some good bets. Now, you remember that when we spoke about that, I said to you, there are a few narratives that I'm very comfortable to put you in. The first narrative, which I'm obviously very comfortable to put you in, is I'm very comfortable to put you guys into Bitcoin, because everyone sees why you can be in Bitcoin. That is the safest narrative to be playing, and everyone's seeing it. Just listen to this.
There does seem to me today to be real utility in Bitcoin, particularly as you see these actions with taking entire countries and banking systems off SWIFT and effectively canceling chunks of the global economy and global trade. And Bitcoin itself at that point becomes a safe haven. And this has been something that many folks have kind of, screamed would happen one day for years.
Okay, so I'm not going to talk about Bitcoin, but you can hear that the narrative is that you actually need Bitcoin now because truckers, because governments, because wars. You actually really need Bitcoin now. And so it's an adoption-driven narrative. And so that's why the adoption-driven narrative works. Another narrative which is really, really, really working right now is stablecoins. I mean, I know it doesn't sound very exciting, but stablecoins are growing. And they're growing because people are saying, look, we've seen that bank accounts can be frozen. We've seen these oligarchs and their yachts being confiscated and their bank accounts being frozen. And some people who were extremely rich not being able to use their own money on their own credit card. People that lived outside of Russia. And so what we know is that there's a huge market for stablecoins, and we've seen it playing out. Now, these kind of stablecoins are not really important to us. These are USD-backed stablecoins. But the stablecoin that we felt comfortable to put you guys into was putting you guys into Luna, because we kind of said, look, for us, Luna is the ultimate stablecoin because it is a decentralized, dollar-pegged stablecoin, which is now backed by Bitcoin, which now has a treasury of Bitcoin backing it to hold its peg. So that's another narrative that we're super comfortable. But if you see what these narratives are, follow the narratives. The narratives are saying to you, this is not about what's going to happen a long time from now. This is about what people are actually using today, what adoption is actually happening today. There were two other narratives that I said, I'm very comfortable to put you in. You'll remember this. The one narrative that I said, I'm very comfortable to put you in is DeFi. And I don't know if you remember, but I did a whole show around how invest in the dexes, because that's the base of all DeFi. And if you look at where this recovery has been led, it's actually been led in the narratives that we told you that would lead. We told you Bitcoin. We said DeFi would lead it. And then we also spoke about privacy. And you remember that I spoke a lot about secret protocol. I spoke a lot about Tornado Cash. And what you're seeing here is you're seeing that this demand in altcoins is being driven by these narratives. Smart contract, blockchains, DeFi, and privacy. Those are the ones that have been leading the charge, and those are the ones that have been actually being used. And I remember I said to you that Tornado Cash was one of those things that was love it or hate it, don't care what it's really being used for, but ultimately Tornado Cash is being used. So that's it. If you can identify the narratives, then you can bet ahead of the market. You can place your bets ahead of the market. Now, the one narrative that we like long-term, but we really, really, really dislike short-term, or at least I did, and I know the people here at Banter hate me for that, is NFTs. I kept saying that there's a bubble in NFTs, that these JPEGs are all going to go to zero. And what you can see is that the interest in NFTs has started to plummet, but there's a twist here. So you see, it's all about narratives. And right now, if I look at the narratives, there are a few narratives that are still brewing. The one narrative that no one is talking about is Arweave and decentralized storage forever. There's a lot of noise that is starting to come out of Arweave. Now, Arweave had its bottom at about $22, and it's probably above $30 now. But Arweave is one of those projects that is progressing without any hype, but it's actually fulfilling real-world use cases. So now we have Russia and Ukraine, or Russia-Ukraine storing documents in Arweave, so they can never ever be changed, they can never ever be modified. And Arweave is making a whole lot of progress here, specifically since they launched this Bundlr Network, which is an L2, which basically focuses on integrating Arweave and other blockchains. So that is the massive thing that's happening in Arweave. And there's an Arweave narrative that's brewing here. The other narrative that is brewing here is Avalanche. So remember, we kept talking about, here it is. When there is a summit, when there was a Solana summit, when there was the summit. Now, there's the Avalanche summit, which is happening in Spain, in Barcelona, between March 22nd and March 27th. Now, what's going to come out of that is all the new developments on the Avalanche ecosystem. So that's a narrative that you may want to be looking at for the next couple of days. Avalanche may be quite a good one for the next couple of days. I also love the ThorChain Rune narrative, but I don't know if I would be getting into ThorChain and Rune. I think it's had a run, and I think you may be buying hype if you start buying now. I think be patient. Let it get back down to $6 before you actually start buying that. We did say that, or specifically I said, everyone here was fighting with me, and I kept saying, I'm not bullish on NFTs. I'm actually severely allergic to NFTs. And I had a whole lot of NFTs which I sold. I took a huge loss on them. And that's because I think that the NFT market was very much and is very much in a bubble. And this tweet here, I saw this tweet here, which is really does reaffirm exactly where we're at. This says there's a big shift happening in NFTs, and specifically around Ape, which we'll talk about now, which is the big story, but that's only half the story. I think what happened to the NFT market is that there was the gold rush, where you had everybody launching a whole lot of different collections. These collections had very little thought, very bad tokenomics, no real understanding of how they're going to grow their ecosystems beyond where they're at. And now we're getting to a point where all those NFT collections are kind of dying down. But that does usher in a completely new era. And I think today was the beginning of that new era with the launch of Apecoin. So this is today the launch of Apecoin, now trading at $8.80. It went as high as $40. Okay, it went as high as $40. Now remember that this coin has 1 billion coins in total supply, which means that right now the fully diluted market cap is about 8 billion. So what is this Apecoin? What is this Apecoin, and how does it fit into the whole ecosystem? Okay, so when we talk about NFTs, I guess the best person to speak to in the whole world is to bring in our man, Hustle. Hustle, yo, bro.
What's going on, Rand? How are you?
Do you own Apecoin?
No, I don't own Apecoin. If you find me buying a coin in this market, just, I don't know. It's not me. It's an imposter. I'm not buying coins in this market.
All right, well, let's talk about what Apecoin is, because I think the story of Apecoin is actually, it's a story that goes back a while. It's not really about today. And I got this Block article, which was around a leak of a pitch deck from Yuga Labs. Do you know about the leak of this pitch deck?
Show it. I might have at least seen it maybe floating around Twitter, but definitely pull it up.
So Yuga Labs is the studio, the Bored Ape studio, right? And there was a leak of a pitch deck, or I don't know if it's a pitch deck or a deck, but there was a leak which went out to investors, and a couple of things came out of this leak. The first thing that came out of this leak is that this studio was going to make a net revenue of about $455 million. Okay, so that was the first part of it. They also then said that they were going to launch an RPG, a meta RPG, which is a meta RPG metaverse, and that they would be doing a land sale of 200,000 plots in this land sale, and they were going to raise about $178 million from the proceeds of this. Now, they say that this is an old deck that was circulated. Okay, great. But this is the story behind this company. This company is generating about $500 million in revenue, or is going to generate about $500 million in revenue, and it is launching this meta RPG metaverse. Okay, then today we got the launch of Apecoin. So today was the launch of Apecoin. For those of you who haven't seen it, you can go to their Twitter page. It says, introducing Apecoin, a token for culture, gaming, and commerce used to empower a decentralized community building at the forefront of Web3. Apecoin is owned and operated by the Apecoin DAO, a decentralized organization where each token holder gets to vote on the governance and use of the ecosystem fund. Holding Apecoin is the only requirement for membership in the DAO. The DAO is supported by the Ape Foundation, which was created as the legal stewards of the Apecoin and administer the decisions made by the Apecoin DAO. Basically, someone just to check the balances. 62% of the total supply of Apecoin is allocated to the community, a portion of which will be available to claim starting tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern Time. The airdrop claim consisting of 15%, 15% will be made available to Bored Ape Yacht Club holders, MAYC and BA Mutant Ape Yacht Club holders, and for everyone else that wants to ape in, Apecoin will be available right now, and you can see that it is available and is trading on FTX at $8.86. So that's the story. So what is this Apecoin? That is what we're going to be talking about. So Hustle, what can you tell us? We lost Hustle. How can we lose Hustle in the middle of a stream talking about apes? He's frozen. Yeah, Hustle's frozen. All right. So effectively, this Apecoin is the coin, the official ape coin of, call it the Ape Foundation. And it says cultures. Let me take you to the more important stuff. The Ape Foundation is a steward of the Ape coin. It is not an overseer. It is basically just a rubber stamp for all of this. It says, Johnny, come back. I think we have to kick Johnny out of the studio and then he'll be back. How do we remove him, Fred? Oh, he's gone. He'll come back. All right, now on the board of Apecoin, there's a massive board of Apecoin, and this board of Apecoin are unbelievable, very strong people. So the first person is Alexis Ohanian. He's the founder of Reddit. You've got Amy Wu, who is the FTX. I think she runs the big fund of theirs. And you've got other people like Yatsu from Animoca Brands. So that's who's out there. Apecoin protocol. So what is this all about? It's about governance. It's about unification of spend. It's about access. And it's basically allowing people to run the entire ecosystem around which this whole ecosystem, this apes, this mutant apes, etc., all work around. So it's actually this DAO coin around this entire ecosystem. It has a whole lot of support. So you've got Amy Wu, so honored to join the Apecoin DAO board, launched along with the Apecoin. You've got Animoca Brands, excited to announce that we will be adopting Apecoin for a secret project when developing with the Bored Ape Yacht Club. So anything to do with the Bored Ape Yacht Clubs or related NFTs is going to be managed by this Apecoin. Yeah, I think we got Hustle back. Have we got Hustle back?
Yeah, I don't know. It kept last week it was kicking me out the studio. It was doing it again.
Oh man, Fred, are you kicking Hustle out the studio?
Promise him not.
Yeah. So let's talk about this Apecoin. How excited are you about it? What do you know about it?
I'm very excited about it. I'm not an ape holder. I'm not a Bored Ape holder or anything like that, but I'm excited for it because of the amount of impact they have on the ecosystem and NFTs, and then also the impact that they will have on gaming. I actually do think that the games that they end up integrating with Animoca Brands, for example, as Animoca Brands says, they will be working with that coin on their secret project. On top of that, they're also immediately going to integrate this in an active game called Benji Bananas by Animoca Brands. So Animoca is really integrating this. And I think that whenever the actual game comes out that they're working on with a studio called Inway, it's the Bored Ape game, I think it's going to really have...
It's kicking Hustle out again.
Impact. Everyone knows what everyone knows what the Bored Apes are. So I think that they'll definitely be all over that game.
So I think the one thing that the Bored Apes or this whole movement has been able to do is they've been able to create a full ecosystem around an NFT collection, which is the first time someone's done it. So I don't think we've had any collections being able to create full ecosystems. And what the Apecoin does, it actually creates this full ecosystem, which now everyone's starting to adopt. So to me, this is one of the most exciting token plays. But then you look at valuation and you say, okay, hold on. Is this the right time to buy? So you've got, it was at a $40 billion valuation. You should never be the guy that buys at this kind of valuation. And then usually the price comes down. The price did come down. And now we're hovering over here. Question is, would you be buying this coin at $9?
I wouldn't. No, I would let this thing come down. And you have to think, there are people who haven't claimed their airdrop yet. You know, Bored Ape holders and Mutant Apes, Bored Ape Kennel Clubs, they all got airdrop this token. Some of them will sell. That's just free money, you know. They have a diamond hands community, but this market doesn't really justify holding on to all your coins. So I would definitely let all the distribution get out there because I think it's 15% of the total supply was airdrop. So I would let that all occur.
Let's look at the tokenomics. So the tokenomics here are pretty interesting. Let me just find it for us. There are tokenomics here. So 62% goes to an ecosystem fund. 16% of the tokens goes to Yuga Labs and a charity. They said I think they'd give 10 million tokens will be donated to the Jane Goodall Legacy Fund. 14% goes to launch contributors. And 8% goes to Bored Ape Yacht Club founders. That's pretty much what we know about the tokenomics here.
And I don't see a problem. I don't see a problem with it.
Sounds pretty fair. I think they're giving a huge number to charity, which is amazing. I mean, right now that amount to charity is valued at $90 million.
Right. Yeah, they always do pretty good job of building in those good incentives too that their community gives back.
Yeah, who got the tokens? Who got airdrop tokens? So Bored Ape holders got 10,094 tokens. Mutant Ape only got 2,042 tokens. Bored Ape and Kennel Club got 10,950 per NFT, and Mutant Ape plus Kennel Club got 2,898. That's pretty much. So that means that if you owned an ape, if you just owned an ape, you got an airdrop valued at $90,000.
It was a very lucrative airdrop for sure.
And if you owned a Bored Ape and a Kennel Club, you got I think another 90,000. I think it's another $90,000. Crazy.
Should have bought that when it was under 0.1 ETH. If you're talking about one NFT, you should have gotten.
Alrighty, Hustle, what's in the gaming show later, bro?
We're going to elaborate on this. I'm going to go deep on the games that they're going to integrate in the ecosystems, what this can do. Like I said, I think culturally speaking, the Bored Ape game could actually bring a ton of people into the Web3 gaming space because they're just so popular. You know, so many rappers and celebrities use Bored Apes as their profile pictures. We'll talk about that and more on the show today.
Awesome, bro. We'll see a bit later. Look, I must say, I wouldn't be buying this thing right now. I'd let it calm down. I also know that from historical stuff, every time there's an airdrop, for about a week after the airdrop, the number goes down, the price goes down. So be careful. Don't buy somebody else's airdrop. Rather wait a little bit. What else? I did see this, which I loved. There is a senator. His name is Tom Emmer. And he says he's a congressman from Minnesota. And he posted this tweet, said, my office has received numerous tips from crypto and blockchain firms that SEC Chair Gary Gensler's information reporting requests to the crypto community are overburdensome, don't feel particularly voluntary, and are stifling innovation. So it does look like we're not the only ones that are talking about it, but now even senators are talking about the fact that Gary Gensler is not doing us any favors. Alrighty, Freddie. Yeah. What's on the website, bro? Let's bring Freddie on the stream. Tell us what's going on your website, bro. So the main story is actually about the Apecoin. There's another story now.
Yeah, refresh.
I love it. So now today on the website, we've got the FOMC meeting. We're talking about apes. We've got charts of the day. Oh, Rubic. If you haven't checked out Rubic, check out Rubic. They are one of our sponsors, but more than that, they are actually an unbelievable cross-chain protocol, which I think might actually be one of the front runners in the race. So go and check it out. They do have a token as well. I'm not going to talk about the token, but check out the Rubic Bridge, because I think it's one of the best ones out there. I think it's one of the quickest and one of the most efficient and one of the safest ones out there. And then again, speaking about safety, in April, we're going to spend, in fact, no, I actually want to show you something. Hold on a second. I want to show you something. People have asked me, what is this all about? I want to show you something. Hold on a second. You guys have all asked me what I was doing when I was filming school. Let me show you. How it's looking. Now, remember, it's not edited at all, but 1 million people will be put through Banter's Crypto School for free. And this is the first module in Crypto School. This is just the intro to the first module, and it's not edited yet. It's just cut. But just to give you an idea, we're going to have 1 million people who are going to do this for free. Welcome to Crypto School. I'm Crypto Man, and I'm so excited to have you here. It's been a long time in the making, but we finally built the ultimate crypto school. Everyone thinks that crypto is so technical, complicated, and intimidating. But in this course, we'll show you just how fun and simple learning about crypto can be. Whether you're a complete newbie or you've already begun your crypto journey, Crypto School has 5 promises for you. Firstly, Crypto School will be fun, simple, and structured. By the end of the first course, you'll be able to build your first crypto portfolio, and you'll be able to make money in a market that goes up or down. You'll make new friends and build a crypto network for life. And not only is crypto school always going to be free, but you'll be rewarded along the way. You'll literally be paid to learn, or as we call it, learn to earn. When you sign up with any of our partners, you'll be rewarded with hundreds of dollars worth of sign-up bonuses designed to launch you on your crypto journey. Every crypto pro needs a basic set of essential tools. So we've partnered up with the biggest and best in the industry. You're going to need these tools as soon as we start. So go on, get signed up. So that's it. We've been working on Crypto School. I think one of the modules in Crypto School is how to keep your crypto safe. And that is what we're going to be focusing on for the month of April. So the whole of April, we're going to focus about how you guys should keep your crypto safe. Because what I said to you guys yesterday is it's pointless having crypto and the problem, and then losing it like an idiot. So if you're going to lose it on the market, that's one thing. That's your own fault. But if you lose it off the market through a hack, if you lose it because you do stupid things with your wallets, because you click on malicious sites, that's dumbass. And so April is going to be about protecting your crypto portfolios. And that's, for me, is the most important part of everything. So I said to you yesterday, and I'm saying it to you guys again, the first tool of protecting your crypto portfolio is you got to have a VPN. A VPN conceals your IP address. It hampers hackers, or doesn't give hackers the opportunity to know where you are. And it just makes it a whole lot harder to access your crypto. Now, the reason why I keep saying that this is the most important tool is because every single transaction that you make is signed with your IP address, which means that they know exactly where you are when you're making that transaction. But when you put a VPN behind you, no one knows that. And the reason why I'm so excited about or so crazy about having VPNs is because it just costs $3 a month, guys. You go, there's a referral link below, you click the referral link, you get it for $3.35 a month. And what I said to you guys is, for the next week, whoever takes out that deal, one of you will win $1,000. That's how serious I am about getting you guys to protect your crypto stuff. If you don't want Nord VPN, go get another VPN. But make sure that you use a VPN, because the last thing you want is to lose your crypto in a stupid mistake. The last thing you want is exposing your identity to a malicious actor, to an exchange that shouldn't know where you are, to governments, to everything. Hide your IP address. And the way to hide your IP address is to do it using a VPN. And we use Nord VPN. And there is a referral link below. And if you want to go use the referral link, you will get, one of you will win $1,000, but you also get this deal with 72% off. And it costs you $3 a month. $3 a month. You can't even drink coffee for $3. Alrighty, I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Remember, tomorrow there's no Sheldon show because Sheldon's having a baby.
I thought Rune was.
Well, his wife, his girlfriend is having a baby. But I mean, he's got to be there. Or do you think we should get him to do a show?
From the hospital.
No, we can't do that. Fred, you're a Satanist. All right, guys, you will see you again tomorrow. Until then, have fun, trade well. Let's hope this market holds. Honestly, baffles my mind how there are people in this office that still don't use a VPN. Like I've showed you guys how important the VPN is. You're crazy. I don't understand. I don't understand how there's anybody in crypto that doesn't use a VPN. Like,
I think it's one of the things that seems
every transaction, exactly. Every transaction you make is signed with your IP address. Like they know where you signed the transaction. Yeah, it's easy. Yeah.
Coming to your house, Fred.
I don't know. You guys do what you want to do. I know what I'm doing.